The sound of shattering glass jolted me from my writing trance. I rushed downstairs, my heart pounding, only to find Patrick sheepishly sweeping up the remains of my favorite vase. "Sorry, Rose," he mumbled, not meeting my eyes. I was reaching for the remote and knocked it over. I sighed, bending down to help him. "It's okay, accidents happen." But as I gathered the shards, a niggling thought wormed its way into my mind. Patrick had been increasingly clumsy lately, distracted. Was it just my imagination, or was there more to it? "How's the new chapter coming along?" he asked, clearly eager to change the subject. "It's coming," I replied, forcing a smile. "You know how it is. Some days the words flow, and others—" Patrick nodded, but I could tell he wasn't really listening. His eyes kept darting to his phone on the coffee table. "Well, I'm sure it'll be great. You always pull it off in the end." I straightened up, dumping the glass pieces into the trash. "Thanks. How about you? Any luck with the job search?" A flicker of something, guilt, annoyance, passed over his face. "Oh, still looking. It's tough out there." I bit my tongue, holding back the urge to point out that he hadn't seemed to be looking very hard lately. Ever since my writing career had taken off, Patrick's own ambitions seemed to have fizzled out. I tried to be supportive, but sometimes I couldn't help but wonder if he resented my success. "Well, I should get back to work," I said, heading for the stairs. "Lily will be home from school soon. Can you pick her up today?" Patrick's phone buzzed, and he snatched it up. Actually, I have an appointment. Can you ask Ethan?" I paused, one foot on the bottom step. "An appointment? For what?" "Just, following up on a lead," he said vaguely, already engrossed in whatever message he'd received. I watched him for a moment, that uneasy feeling growing stronger. Then I shook it off and climbed the stairs. I had deadlines to meet. I couldn't afford to let my imagination run wild. Back at my desk, I tried to focus on my novel, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I found myself staring at Patrick's tablet, which he'd left charging on my bookshelf. I'd never been the snooping type, but something compelled me to pick it up. The screen lit up, revealing a notification for an unread email. My finger hovered over it, torn between curiosity and guilt. Just as I was about to put it down, the subject line caught my eye. "Interview confirmation, executive assistant position." My breath caught in my throat. An interview? Patrick hadn't mentioned applying for any jobs, let alone scheduling interviews. And when was he interested in being an executive assistant? I set the tablet down, my mind racing. Should I confront him? Maybe it was nothing. Maybe he was just exploring his options and didn't want to get my hopes up. But why keep it a secret? The sound of the front door closing snapped me back to reality. I hurried to the window, watching Patrick climb into his car and drive away. To his appointment, no doubt. I sank into my chair, a cold knot forming in my stomach. Something was off. I could feel it. The distance between us, the secretive behavior, the mysterious appointments. It all added up to a picture I wasn't sure I wanted to see. As I sat there, staring at the blinking cursor on my laptop screen, I made a decision. I needed answers, and I was going to get them. Whatever Patrick was hiding, whatever was going on in our marriage, I couldn't ignore it any longer. Little did I know, uncovering the truth would shatter my world in ways I never could have imagined. I stared at my laptop screen, the words blurring together as my mind raced with questions about Patrick's mysterious interview. The deadline for my latest novel loomed, but I couldn't focus. With a frustrated sigh, I decided to take a break and check my email. As I scrolled through my inbox, a notification popped up. New message in archive folder. Curious, I clicked on it, not remembering when I'd last used that folder. My heart stopped. There, hidden away, were dozens of emails between Patrick and Samantha, my best friend. With trembling hands, I opened the most recent one. "My darling," it began. "I can't wait to hold you again. These stolen moments aren't enough anymore. We need to find a way to be together, truly together." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The room spun as I frantically opened more emails, each one more damning than the last. Romantic declarations, secret plans, intimate details that made me sick to my stomach. How long had this been going on? How could they do this to me? A text message alert broke through my shock. It was from Samantha. "Lunch tomorrow? Miss you, bestie." Bile rose in my throat. I wanted to scream, to confront them both right then and there. But a small, rational part of my brain held me back. I needed time to think, to plan. The front door opened and I heard Patrick's voice. "Rose, you home?" I quickly closed the email and plastered on a smile as he entered my office. "Hey," I managed, my voice surprisingly steady. "How was your appointment?" He hesitated for a split second. "Oh, just some boring paperwork stuff. Nothing exciting." Liar. I wanted to hurl the accusation at him, but I bit my tongue. "Well, I'm glad it's over. I was thinking we could have a nice family dinner tonight. It's been a while since we all sat down together." Patrick's eyes darted away. "Actually, I promised Sam I'd help her with some computer issues this evening. Rain check? Of course." "Sam?" I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. As soon as he left, I collapsed into my chair, tears finally spilling over. How had I been so blind? The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the growing distance between us, it all made horrible sense now. I don't know how long I sat there, alternating between grief and rage. Eventually, I wiped my eyes and took a deep breath. I needed a plan. First things first. I called Ethan and asked if he could take Lily for a sleepover with her cousins. Then, I opened a new document and started typing. Every betrayal, every lie, every suspicious incident I could remember. By the time I finished, the sun had set and my anger had hardened into resolve. Patrick returned late, smelling faintly of Samantha's favorite perfume. "Lily at Ethan's?" he asked, surprised to find the house quiet. I nodded. "I thought we could use some alone time." His eyes lit up, and I felt sick. "That sounds great. Let me just grab a quick shower and I'll be right down." As the water ran upstairs, I stared at my phone, Samantha's number on the screen. Part of me wanted to call her, to scream and demand answers. But no, that would have to wait. I needed more information, more evidence. I heard Patrick's footsteps on the stairs and quickly put my phone away. As he entered the room, freshly showered and smiling, I steeled myself for the performance of a lifetime. "So," I said, patting the couch beside me, "tell me all about your day." As Patrick launched into another web of lies, I smiled and nodded, all the while my mind racing with plans for revenge. They thought they were so clever, my husband and my best friend, but they had no idea what was coming. The game was on and I intended to win. I paced my office, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. The betrayal of Patrick and Samantha felt like a physical wound, raw and throbbing. How could they do this to me, to our family? My phone buzzed, another text from Samantha. "Hey girl, missed you at lunch today. Everything okay?" I threw the phone across the room, watching it bounce off the couch. The audacity of her to act concerned, to pretend we were still best friends while she was sleeping with my husband behind my back. I needed to talk to someone I could trust. My fingers hovered over Ethan's number, but I hesitated. My brother would be furious, ready to confront Patrick immediately. No, I needed level-headed advice. Taking a deep breath, I dialed Joanne's number. "Rose." "This is a surprise." My cousin's voice was warm but concerned. "Is everything all right?" I tried to speak, but a sob escaped instead. "Oh, honey," Joanne's tone softened. "What's wrong?" Through tears, I poured out the whole sordid story, the hidden emails, the lies, the betrayal. Joanne listened patiently, only interrupting to ask clarifying questions. When I finished, there was a long pause. "I'm so sorry, Rose," she finally said. "What those two have done is unforgivable, but we need to be smart about how we handle this." "Smart?" I laughed bitterly. "I want to burn their world down, and we will," Joanne assured me, "but legally and strategically. First things first, don't confront them yet. We need to gather more evidence." She walked me through the steps, documenting everything, securing financial records, even considering hiring a private investigator. It felt surreal, like I was planning a military operation instead of dismantling my marriage. "What about Lily?" I asked, my heart aching for our daughter. "We'll make sure she's protected," Joanne promised. "But Rose, you need to be prepared. This is going to get messy." After we hung up, I sat in silence, Joanne's words echoing in my mind. Messy. That was an understatement. My entire life was about to implode. A key in the lock startled me. Patrick was home early. "Rose," he called out, "you here?" I quickly wiped my eyes and plastered on a smile. "In the office." He appeared in the doorway, a bouquet of roses in his hand. "Surprise! I thought we could have a nice dinner, just the two of us." The sight of him standing there, acting like the perfect husband, made me want to scream. But Joanne's advice rang in my ears. Don't confront him yet. That's so sweet, I managed, accepting the flowers. What's the occasion? Patrick shrugged, not quite meeting my eyes. No occasion. Just wanted to do something nice for my beautiful wife. Guilt. It was written all over his face. For a moment I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. As we sat down to dinner, the air thick with unspoken truths, I realized this was my new reality. Pretending everything was fine while plotting my revenge. So, Patrick said, pouring wine. How was your day? I looked at him, this man I thought I knew, and made a decision. No more hiding, no more passive acceptance. Actually, I said, setting down my glass, there's something we need to talk about. Patrick's face paled, and in that moment, I knew. He knew that I knew. The game was up. Rose, I held up a hand, silencing him. Not yet. First, you're going to listen to what I have to say. As I prepared to lay out my accusations, my heart raced. This was it, the point of no return. Whatever happened next would change our lives forever, and I was ready for it. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation I was about to initiate. Joanne's advice echoed in my mind. Strategic, calculated, controlled. I could do this. Patrick, I began, my voice steadier than I felt. I've been going over our finances, and something doesn't add up. His fork clattered against the plate. What do you mean? I pulled out a stack of papers I'd prepared earlier. There are some discrepancies. Large withdrawals, credit card charges at places I don't recognize. Patrick's face paled. Oh, that? I've been meaning to talk to you about that. It's just some work expenses, networking dinners, that sort of thing. Work expenses? I arched an eyebrow. For the job you don't have? He fumbled for words, sweat beading on his forehead. Well, job hunting expenses. It's not cheap trying to get back into the industry. I slid a particular statement across the table. And this charge for a weekend at the Lakeview Resort? That was for job hunting? Patrick's eyes widened in panic. I can explain. Please do, I said, my voice ice cold. Explain how you spent $1,500 on a romantic getaway while I was at my book signing in Chicago. The color drained from his face. Rose, it's not what you think. Really? Because I think you're having an affair. I think you're spending our money I earned, on another woman. Patrick stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. You're jumping to conclusions. I told you it's for work. Stop lying, I shouted, my carefully constructed calm crumbling. I know about the emails, Patrick. I know about Samantha. He froze, shock and guilt written all over his face. You went through my emails? I didn't have to. You left them open on your tablet. I laughed bitterly. Careless, just like this credit card statement. Patrick slumped back into his chair, defeated. Rose, I'm so sorry. It just happened. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, I said, my voice breaking. You and Samantha both. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. We can work through this. I'll end it with Sam, I promise. We can go to counseling, start fresh. For a moment, I almost believed him, almost wanted to believe him. But then I remembered the emails, the secret plans, the betrayal. No, I said firmly. There's no coming back from this. Patrick's face hardened. What are you saying? I'm saying it's over. I want a divorce. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and final. Patrick opened his mouth to argue, but his phone buzzed. We both knew who it was. Go ahead, I said bitterly. Answer it. Wouldn't want to keep Samantha waiting. He hesitated, then grabbed his phone and stormed out of the room. I heard the front door slam a moment later. Alone in the sudden silence, I let out a shaky breath. It was done. The confrontation I'd been dreading and planning for was over. My phone lit up with a text from Joanne. How did it go? I typed back, it's done. He knows I know. Her reply was immediate. Good. Now we move to phase 2. Are you ready? Was I ready? Ready to dismantle my life, to fight for what was rightfully mine, to protect Lily from the fallout of her father's betrayal. I thought of Patrick and Samantha, probably together right now, planning their next move. Anger and determination surged through me. I'm ready, I texted back. Let's do this. As I set my phone down, I caught sight of my reflection in the window. The woman staring back at me wasn't the trusting, naive Rose of yesterday. She was stronger, fiercer, ready for battle. Patrick and Samantha had no idea what was coming, but they were about to find out. The house felt eerily quiet as I zipped up the last suitcase. Patrick had left for his business trip this morning, his guilty eyes barely meeting mine as he rushed out the door. Little did he know, I was well aware of his real destination, a romantic getaway with Samantha. I glanced at my phone, rereading Ethan's text. Lily's having a blast. Don't worry about us. Focus on what you need to do. My heart ached at the thought of my daughter, blissfully unaware of how her world was about to change. But I pushed the guilt aside. I was doing this for her, to show her that no one should ever accept betrayal lying down. With determination, I began methodically packing up our life. Family photos came off the walls, leaving ghostly rectangles in their wake. Lily's artwork was carefully tucked away in boxes. Our shared memories, once treasured, now felt tainted. As I worked, my phone buzzed incessantly. Samantha, no doubt wondering why I wasn't responding to her cheery messages about meeting for coffee. The audacity of her fake friendship made my blood boil. By nightfall, the house was nearly empty, save for Patrick's personal belongings. Those I had other plans for. Exhausted but resolute, I sat at my computer and opened a new email. It was time. Patrick, by now, you're probably settled into your romantic getaway with Samantha. I hope you're enjoying yourselves, because it's the last moment of peace you'll have for a while. I know everything, the affair, the lies, the money you've been spending on her. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? When you return, you'll find the house empty. Lily and I are gone. Don't bother trying to find us. My lawyer will be in touch with the divorce papers. You made your choice, Patrick. Now you get to live with it. Rose. My finger hovered over the send button, a moment of hesitation gripping me. Was I really ready to blow up our lives like this? Then I remembered the loving emails between Patrick and Samantha, the secret plans they'd made, the future they'd envisioned together, all while I sat at home, trusting and oblivious. Anger surged through me, and I hit send with a satisfying click. Almost immediately, my phone exploded with notifications. First from Patrick, "Rose, please let me explain. It's not what you think." Then from Samantha, "OMG, Rose, I can explain everything. Please call me." I silenced my phone, a grim smile on my face. Let them panic. Let them feel a fraction of the fear and uncertainty I'd been living with. As the night wore on, I finalized my plans. The moving truck was scheduled for first thing in the morning. Joanne had helped me secure a new place, unknown to Patrick or Samantha. Ethan would bring Lily there once everything was settled. Just before midnight, I allowed myself one last walk through the empty house. So many memories here. First steps, birthday parties, quiet nights curled up on the couch. For a moment, grief overwhelmed me. Not just for the end of my marriage, but for the loss of the life I thought I had. But as I stood in the doorway, key in hand, I felt a strange sense of liberation. The path ahead was uncertain, scary even, but it was mine to choose. With a deep breath, I locked the door for the last time and stepped into the cool night air. Tomorrow would bring chaos, frantic calls, legal battles, hard conversations with Lily. But tonight, in this moment, I was free. As I drove away from the house that was no longer my home, a weight lifted from my shoulders. The game had changed. Patrick and Samantha thought they held all the cards, but they were about to learn just how wrong they were. Let them come. I was ready. The moving truck rumbled away, leaving me standing in front of our new home. My home. Lily's home. Not Patrick's. Never again. My phone buzzed incessantly. Patrick's desperate attempts to reach me. I silenced it, focusing on the task at hand. Joanne's car pulled up, and she stepped out, a determined look on her face. "Ready for phase 2?" she asked, holding up a box of Patrick's belongings. I nodded, my heart racing. "Let's do this." We drove to Samantha's house in tense silence. I knew Frank, her husband, would be at work. Perfect timing for our plan. As we pulled up, I saw Samantha's car in the driveway. My stomach churned. She was home. "Rose," Joanne warned, sensing my hesitation. "Stick to the plan. No confrontations." I took a deep breath and nodded. We approached the front door, and I rang the bell, my hand trembling slightly. The door swung open, and there she stood, my former best friend, the woman who'd betrayed me in the worst possible way. Samantha's eyes widened in shock. "Rose, what are you?" I cut her off, my voice steady. "Special delivery for you and Patrick. Enjoy." Before she could respond, I shoved the box into her arms and turned on my heel. Joanne was already back in the car, engine running. As we sped away, I caught a glimpse of Samantha in the rearview mirror, standing frozen on her porch, the box of evidence in her arms. "Letters on top," Joanne said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "Frank will know everything by dinner time." I let out a shaky breath. It was done. No going back now. Back at my new place, I finally checked my phone. Dozens of missed calls and messages from Patrick and Samantha. I scrolled through them, my anger growing with each desperate plea and excuse. Then a new message popped up, from Frank. "Rose, I just got home. Found the letter. Can we talk?" My heart raced. I hadn't expected Frank to reach out so soon. After a moment's hesitation, I called him. "Frank, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way," I said when he answered. His voice was tight with emotion. "How long have you known?" "Not long," I admitted, "but long enough to know it wasn't a one-time thing." We talked for nearly an hour, sharing our pain and anger. By the end, I felt a strange kinship with this man I barely knew, united in our betrayal. As night fell, I sat on my new couch, surrounded by boxes, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. I'd done it. I'd taken control of my narrative. Then a loud banging on the door made me jump. "Rose, open up. We need to talk." Patrick's voice angry and desperate. I froze, fear gripping me. How had he found me so quickly? The banging continued, growing more insistent. "I know you're in there. You can't just disappear with our daughter." Lily. Of course. In all the chaos, I hadn't considered that Ethan might let slip where we were staying. My phone lit up with a call from Samantha. Simultaneously, another text from Frank appeared. "Samantha just left in a hurry. Thought you should know." The walls seemed to close in around me. Patrick at the door, Samantha on her way, and me trapped in the middle. For a moment, I considered calling the police, but no, I'd come too far to back down now. Taking a deep breath, I stood up and approached the door. This was it, the confrontation I'd been both dreading and preparing for. With shaking hands, I reached for the lock. Whatever happened next would determine everything: my future, Lily's future, the consequences of all our actions. I opened the door, ready to face the storm. As I opened the door, Patrick's furious face came into view. He pushed past me, storming into the living room. "What the hell do you think you're doing, Rose?" he shouted, spinning to face me. "You can't just take Lily and disappear." I stood my ground, my voice steady. "I can, and I did. You lost the right to have a say when you decided to cheat on me with my best friend." Patrick's face paled. "You don't understand. It's not what you think." "Save it," I cut him off. "I've seen the emails, Patrick. I know everything." Just then a car screeched to a halt outside. Samantha burst through the open door, her face a mask of panic and anger. "How could you, Rose?" she cried. "Sending all that stuff to Frank? Do you have any idea what you've done?" The room crackled with tension as the three of us stood there, years of friendship and love twisted into something ugly and painful. "But what I've done," I laughed bitterly. "That's rich coming from you two." Patrick stepped between us. "Look, we can work this out. We just need to calm down and talk." "There's nothing to talk about," I said firmly. "It's over, Patrick. All of it." Samantha lunged forward, grabbing my arm. "You can't do this. Frank's leaving me. He's taking the kids. You've ruined everything." I jerked away from her. "You ruined everything when you decided to sleep with my husband." Patrick's phone rang, breaking the tension. He answered it, his face growing increasingly pale. "Yes, I understand. I'll be there first thing in the morning." He hung up, looking shell-shocked. "That was my boss. Someone sent them evidence of financial irregularities. I'm being suspended pending an investigation." My heart raced. I hadn't expected that. Joanne must have followed through on her threat to expose Patrick's misuse of company funds. Samantha rounded on Patrick. "You said you'd taken care of that. You promised me it was safe." "You knew about this?" I asked, incredulous. Patrick's face crumpled. I needed the money. For us, Sam. For our future." The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. Not only had they cheated, but they'd been planning a future together, funded by stolen money. My phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. "Lily's asking for you. Everything okay?" Reality crashed back in. Lily, my sweet, innocent daughter, caught in the middle of this mess. "Both of you need to leave," I said, my voice shaking. "Now." "Rose, please," Patrick begged. "Let me explain. Let me see Lily." "No," I said firmly. "You'll be hearing from my lawyer. Until then, stay away from me and my daughter." Samantha scoffed. "Your daughter? She's Patrick's too. You can't keep her from him." "Watch me," I growled, reaching for my phone to call the police. Patrick grabbed my wrist. "Don't do this, Rose. We can fix this." For a moment, looking into his eyes, I almost wavered. Then I remembered all the lies, all the betrayal. "Let go of me." Each word was ice. He released me, stepping back. This isn't over. Puff, he warned. Yes, it is, I replied, opening the door. Goodbye, Patrick. Goodbye, Samantha. As they left, I slumped against the closed door, exhausted and overwhelmed. My phone buzzed again. Joanne this time. It's done. Her message read, Patrick's company knows everything. Are you okay? I stared at the screen, my vision blurring with tears. Was I okay? I'd just blown up my entire life, exposed my husband's crimes, and potentially ruined my daughter's relationship with her father. But as the adrenaline faded, I felt something else growing stronger. Relief. Pride. Hope. I typed back, no, I'm not okay, but I will be. As I hit send, I realized the hardest part was yet to come. I had to tell Lily that her world was about to change forever. With shaking hands, I dialed Ethan's number. It was time to bring my daughter home. The conference room felt suffocating as I sat across from Patrick, Samantha, and their lawyers. Joanne's steady presence beside me was the only thing keeping me grounded. Let's review the terms one last time, Joanne said, her voice crisp and professional. As she outlined the divorce settlement and compensation agreement, I watched Patrick's face. The man I once loved now looked like a stranger, defeated, angry, and somehow smaller. Samantha refused to meet my eyes, her fingers nervously twisting the wedding ring she still wore. I wondered if Frank knew she was here. Do you both agree to these terms? Joanne asked. Patrick's jaw clenched. Do I have a choice? You always had a choice, Patrick, I said quietly. You just made the wrong ones. He flinched as if I'd slapped him. Samantha's lawyer nudged her. She nodded, her voice barely a whisper. I agree. As we all signed the papers, a weight lifted from my shoulders. It was done. Finally, truly done. Outside the law office, Ethan was waiting with Lily. My daughter ran to me, and I scooped her up, holding her tight. Mommy, why is Daddy leaving? She asked, her small voice breaking my heart. I set her down, kneeling to meet her eyes. Sometimes, sweetheart, grown-ups make mistakes. Big mistakes that change everything. But I promise you, no matter what, Mommy and Daddy both love you very much. As Lily nodded, trying to understand, I saw Patrick watching us from the doorway. Our eyes met, and for a moment I saw regret and sorrow in his gaze. Then he turned and walked away, out of our lives. The next few weeks were a blur of adjustments and explanations. Lily had nightmares, Patrick made half-hearted attempts at reconciliation, and Samantha tried desperately to salvage her own marriage. Through it all, I focused on rebuilding our life, Lily's and mine. One sunny afternoon, as Lily napped, I sat on our new porch, laptop open but forgotten. I was startled by a knock at the gate. It was Frank. I hope you don't mind me stopping by, he said, looking uncomfortable. I wanted to thank you. I blinked in surprise. Thank me? He nodded. For telling me the truth. It hurt like hell, but I needed to know. We talked for a while, two people united by betrayal but determined to move forward. As he left, I felt a sense of closure I hadn't realized I was missing. That evening, as Lily and I made dinner together, my phone buzzed with a message from my publisher. My latest book, inspired by recent events, was hitting the bestseller list. I stared at the screen, emotions overwhelming me. Grief for the life I'd lost, pride in my resilience, hope for the future. Mommy, why are you crying? Lily asked, her little face concerned. I wiped my eyes, smiling. Sometimes, sweetheart, people cry when they're happy too. She considered this, then nodded sagely. Like when we had ice cream for breakfast? I laughed, truly laughed, for what felt like the first time in months. Exactly like that. As we sat down to our slightly burnt dinner, I looked at my daughter, so innocent, so strong. I thought about the journey we'd been through, the pain we'd endured, and the life we were building. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It wasn't perfect or easy. But it was ours, and we'd fought hard for it. Hey, Lily, I said, reaching for her hand. How about we get ice cream for dessert? Her eyes lit up. Really? I nodded, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. Really? We've got a lot to celebrate. As Lily cheered, I silently toasted to new beginnings, to resilience, and to the power of choosing yourself. The road ahead might be uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I was excited to see where it would lead. After all, every rose has its thorns, but it's those very thorns that make it strong enough to bloom even in the harshest conditions. And bloom we would.